Well, for more insights into China's economic situation, we're joined by Marc Ross, co-founder and partner of Caracal Global. Welcome back to the show.
Good to be here.
So what's your take on this ongoing shift, especially given that China's growth target is now set for 2018 around 6.5%?
Yeah, I think the number 6.5, 6.8, 6.9 isn't really, I think, the most interesting thing to come out of the meeting. It's really the commitment that the Chinese government is suggesting that they really want to see more foreign investment in the country.
Now let's also look at this mindset of high quality growth. We know that it's been highlighted since the 19th Party Congress. What sort of progress are we seeing on that front so far?
The Chinese have done a great job moving up the value chain. They've got more and more international brand names that are competing, not only obviously domestically in China, but around the world. But to be competitive, you need the best talent and you need the best resources. So having a situation where more Chinese from around the world can come back to China proper, and also having a proper foundation to invest and tap into other markets is really critical.
And then in terms of opportunities, what does this open up then when it comes to foreign trade partners and investors as well?
Well, I think you're looking at three big areas. Healthcare will be a huge priority, telecommunications and technology, as well as green energy. There are a lot of, as you mentioned, the Chinese have made tremendous strides in certain areas, but to go to the next level, they're really going to have to tap into those three sectors.
And what do you think they would need to do in order to expand on those sectors?
Well, there's three things. I mean, for me, as a foreigner, I would obviously encourage them to allow more foreign companies into China to compete. I think competition, at the end of the day, is critical to have the best companies bring the best products to customers. So obviously, just like we have just like we have special interests in America, there are special interests in China that maybe want to slow that down. But at the end of the day, I think you have to have the highest level of competition and you have to have the best talent there.
Now, what about policy signals? What did we see from the government work report in terms of the strategies that they might have in really achieving this high quality growth they're looking for?
Well, I think it is positive that they are saying that they want to do this. Some will say maybe this is a bit of promise fatigue. Maybe we've heard this before. Of course, China doesn't maybe move as fast as the business community would like. But the fact that they're saying it is a positive thing. But at the end of the day, obviously, how they implement the policies, the devil's in the details will really be critical.
Now let's break it down by the sectors and the industries. Which ones are going to be most affected, whether it's positively or negatively by this shift?
I only focus on the positive. So I'm going to say healthcare is going to be a tremendous opportunity. Obviously, China's growing older. There's going to be tremendous need to take care of an older population. I think what China's doing around 5G and telecommunications is super interesting. They've really put their stamp on that. Green energy is a huge opportunity. Obviously, China moving away from smokestack industries, committing to using less coal, committing to actually producing less steel will really allow companies in that space to bring the best technologies to that market.
And we know that one of the goals was really to help improve social equality and sustainability in China. What does this shift towards more development that's more advanced and high quality?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is obviously you have a rising middle class who is obviously expecting a higher quality of life. Folks in their 20s, frankly, have never really known a downturn in China. So having a equal, better access not only for foreign companies, but also Chinese students coming out of college, can they get the best jobs in the country? It's going to be a real challenge. But obviously, I think the government is moving in the right direction.
And as with any sort of change, there can be some resistance. Are there any potential challenges you see as China continues this shift?
Well, I think just like I said earlier, I mean, we have special interests in the West. There are certainly special interests in China. Sectors that have done well under the past governments or past organizations of the economy may not want to move as fast. You know, competing globally and having a world-class company, it takes a lot of resources, a lot of money and capital. In some industries, frankly, or some companies may be very content that they're happy to be where they are and may not really want to take on the challenge of moving up the value chain. So that kind of friction could be a challenge for the government.
And what about any untapped sectors of the economy that perhaps could really be due for more high quality improvement?
I think automotive is going to be super interesting. Infrastructure, moving away more from, say, highways and kind of roads, but more kind of advanced infrastructure, light rail, will be very interesting. Obviously, China is a very big country physically, but can you find ways to move a population and move goods in a more environmentally friendly way will be really critical.
And just lastly, as we see this tie into perhaps the Belt and Road Initiative and some of these other huge infrastructure projects, how critical do you think it's going to be, this high quality growth?
It's essential. I mean, there's plenty of ways to gin up the economy and create economic activity. You know, just having people dig ditches and moving dirt is economic activity. But is that the most productive way to stimulate the economy? Probably not. So being really critical and saying this is a worthy project that'll have not only a short-term benefit, but it can be sustainable for 10 or 20 years, will be really essential. So how governments work that short-term goal of ginning up the economy versus looking long-term is always going to be a challenge. But when Beijing says we need to focus long-term, I think that'll help.